Sometimes homemade is really what you want. Now I have 3 awesome recipes for making your very own Asian sauces from scratch. We're going to do the classics, my friends. It's Thai sweet chili sauce, Thai Sriracha sauce, this guy's hot, and classic Chinese restaurant vibes here with plum sauce. I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks to making that perfect homemade sweet chili sauce. And I'm going to start off with these large red chilies. So one of the advantages of making your sweet chili sauce at home is that you can tailor the taste to exactly how you like it. Now these large red chilies, they're really mild. You can literally eat them like a capsicum. So these are giving you the color and the texture. So if you'd like to keep your sweet chili sauce mild, use more of these and less of the spicy ones. And also I like to leave the seeds in because I'm not afraid of the spicy chili. The spicier the better for me. But if you would like to leave the heat out of this, take that white inner seed part, the white pith plus the seeds out. And that again is going to keep it mild. I just need a rough chop here because I'm going to put these in the food processor. And now for the spicy part. I'm using some of these bird's eye chilies. You can use whatever spicy chilies that you've got locally. And of course, leave these out for a mild sauce or add more if you want it super spicy. And then here's another tip. So I'm going to add some garlic. If you are a garlic fan, add more. My base recipe is pretty garlicky, so try that first. If you're not a fan, you can leave the garlic out or just use less. Again, we just need a rough chop on those garlic cloves. Okay, so we're not looking for a paste here, we just want a chop. So pulse the vegetables rather than letting them blend. Next we want to make our saucy part. So I've got some sugar and some water. Now you'll find the recipe for this on my website with all the weights listed out, so it's really easy for you guys to follow. Now I'm going to add some vinegar, some salt, and a little bit of fish sauce. So the fish sauce is optional. You could leave that out just to add a little bit more salt, but I kind of like that umami flavor that the fish sauce adds. Now to add all that gorgeous color and flavor. Now you just want to let this simmer until the sugar dissolves and that raw edge of that garlic has softened and that chili is nice and soft as well. So don't let that mixture boil over your saucepan. Once it comes to a simmer, just turn it down a little bit and just let it bubble away for about 5 minutes. Okay, so our base sauce is smelling and looking delicious. Now comes the all-important texture part. So what we want to do is make sure our sweet chili sauce has a beautiful thickness that just allows those garlic and chili pieces to be beautifully suspended in the sauce. But we don't want it too thick. We don't want it like a jam. So my tip is to use potato starch. So potato starch you'll find in the baking section of most supermarkets. The alternative is cornstarch or corn flour. They're the same thing. It's perfectly fine to use that as well. But the potato starch will actually give you a clearer sauce. It doesn't go as murky as the corn flour. But the tip is to mix it with a little bit of water. And this is the same as you would do with corn flour. But the important thing with potato starch is to make sure you're adding it at the end of the cooking. If you boil potato starch too much, it loses its ability to thicken your sauce. So we're almost at the end here. I've got the heat on low. I'm going to pour in this water and potato starch mixture. Now I'm just going to gently cook this just a little bit longer. And I can see it's already starting to thicken up. I'll turn that heat off now, and what will happen is as this cools down it will thicken up a little bit, so don't worry if it's not quite the right texture yet. So once that's cool, pour that into a jar and you can keep that in your fridge for about 2 to 3 weeks. I guarantee you it won't last that long though. And look at that amazing, glistening, rich red color. Spicy, garlicky, my perfect sweet chili sauce. Thailand's most famous chili sauce. It is hot, spicy, tangy, all the things, and you can make it from home. This is Thai Sriracha. Okay friends, so unless you've been living under a rock, you know all about Rooster Sriracha sauce. That one is an amazing condiment. It just doesn't happen to be like the Thai original version of that chili sauce, which is made in a province called Sriracha in Thailand. For me, I don't get me wrong guys, I love the Rooster sauce version. It is like a lot thicker, more kind of tangy, it's spicy, it's great things. But being half Thai means that I can't help but hold the original closer to my heart. So that's what we're doing today guys. We're making the original Thai Sriracha. Okay, most important thing is, let's talk chilies. You are gonna have different chilies to me because we don't live in the same area pretty much, unless you do live near me, which, hello neighbor. But anyway, what you should do is grab a hold of, you know, I've got just some large chilies here. These actually happen to be quite spicy. Typically in Australia, which is where I am at the moment, these are not spicy, but I did this earlier in the day. And then I did this because these are actually really hot. So I'm actually just gonna use these. Typically I might add in some bird's eye chilies if these are really mild, but they're not mild, they're hot. So find a mild, medium or hot chili that you love in your area and use that. We just wanna take our chilies, and I like to remove most of this inner part of the chili. I don't want too many seeds in my sauce. A few seeds is fine, but I don't want too many in there. And removing some of that white pith is actually going to take some of the sting out of the chili as well. Just want to rough chop and into a large saucepan. And yes, this is the most laborious part of the recipe. Make sure you don't touch your face. I have natural goggles here, so I'm good. Now, once you've chopped your weight in chilies, well, like not quite, but you know what I mean. A lot of chilies, you've chopped a lot of chilies. Now let's get in and chop some capsicum, also known as bell pepper. The reason I like to use capsicum and chili is that the capsicum will give you that really nice color without, again, overloading on the heat. I mean, I want this to be spicy, but I don't want it to be like a hot sauce kind of blow your head off spicy. It should be like an all day, everyday kind of condiment. All right, so we're done with like all the chopping stuff now, thank goodness. Now let's get into some garlic. And for me, like the Thai version of Sriracha is, the characteristics are spicy, tangy, and also garlicky. You could tailor this to how you like. If you love garlic, put more in. I put quite a lot in because I do like the garlic flavor. To that, I want to add some salt. And then a whole lot of white vinegar. Now turn the heat on, and I wanna bring that up to a simmer and cook that for about 20 minutes so that everything in there is really nice and soft, and those vegetables almost take on like a pickled kind of flavor. All right, so we're looking good here. Now what we need to do is we've got our soft, like pickled chilies and vegetables here. I wanna separate those from the vinegar liquid. We'll get them combined a bit later on, but first of all, just take out those vegetables and just strain them off. Now scoop the chilies and the capsicum and the garlic into a blender, and you want to blend this to a really smooth paste. Okay, that is looking amazing. I'm really starting to smell a lot of that garlic and the chili fumes and stuff like that. It's smelling very good. Okay, now just get that back into your saucepan. So now I want to add in a bit of that vinegar cooking liquid, and that's going to do two things. It's going to, one, give us the right texture, like thin the sauce out a little bit, and also give us that like vinegar tang. Now the sauce is looking pretty good at the moment, but what we need is to balance out those flavors. We've got the spicy, we've got the tangy, now we need a little bit of sweet. Now I'm just gonna add in a couple of spoonfuls of sugar first. Let's give that a good mix. And I've got this on a low heat so that sugar dissolves. Now let's just have a try. Ooh. That's hot, but not too hot. It's got a nice, heat, nice sort of follow-on heat, and it's tangy and but it's balanced by that little bit of sweetness. For me, that's perfect. You could add more sugar or more vinegar depending on how you like it. go your own adventure. You could also thin it down a little bit as well, but I kind of like this thick texture. Now all you need to do is just spoon this out into some jars. And these little friends will keep in the fridge for up to 6 months. So there you go, guys. You can make your very own original flavored Thai Sriracha sauce at home. This one is about to go on everything at my house. It never lasts very long. I hope you enjoy it too. 15 minutes, guys, that's all you need to make my amazing sweet, tangy and Chinese spiced plum sauce. Okay, first of all, the plums. So you want to find the plums. In Australia we call them blood plums. I've seen them called red plums, black plums. Basically the flesh inside should be red. And we're going to get these straight into a saucepan. I'm going to cut them over the saucepan so I catch any of the juice. And you can see that beautiful red color. Now if you want to be all like fine dining about this, you could peel the plums. I don't mind having a little bit of a rustic kind of finish to my sauce, because then people know that it was actually homemade, which is always nice. But feel free to peel those plums if you want a sauce that is, I guess, a little bit more refined. So I have made this sauce before with plums that were not this red color, that had the yellow flesh. And I just added a little bit of beetroot powder for some color, and that actually worked out quite good. So there's an option there for you. Now to add a little bit more oomph and some extra concentrated flavor, I'm actually going to use some prunes. Now prunes are simply dried plums, but that dried fruit concentration adds a really nice flavor here, and it helps to thicken the sauce as well, which is really good. So I've had them soaking in some hot water for about 10 minutes. I'm going to put the prunes and the water into the saucepan, and then I want some sugar as well, some apple cider vinegar. Now to give us all our Chinese flavors and characters for this sauce, I'm going to start off with some ginger, and I'm just going to roughly peel this with a spoon, take that skin off. Just want a few slices. Now some garlic, and I just want to infuse the sauce with a little bit of garlic flavor. I don't want it to be too garlicky. And now for some spices. So I've got star anise and a cinnamon stick. Now just remember how many pieces you're putting in here, because you're going to have to pull them out later. So you don't want to lose a random piece of star anise in there. Okay, and I'm also using some Chinese 5-spice. This is my homemade version. You can find the recipe for this on my YouTube channel, but you know, store-bought's fine as well. We want a good dash of that, and then we just get this simmering. It's as simple as that. Whether you call this duck sauce if you're in the US or plum sauce in Australia, I love that this is a condiment that's so quick to make. So you could use this as a dipping sauce for spring rolls, fried wontons, a sauce for grilled duck, grilled chicken, fried chicken, anywhere you want a little bit of a sweet and tangy Chinese condiment flavor. Okay, now after 10 minutes, our plums are lusciously soft, beautifully tender. I'm going to take out some of those flavorings that we no longer need. Garlic, ginger, cinnamon stick, star anise. I'm going to transfer this lovely mix into a blender and just blend until smooth. Now pour that out into a clean saucepan. Oh, and look at that amazing color. Now this is where you need to do a little bit of adjusting. So I'm just going to taste this to see if we need some salt, and I am going to add a little bit of salt. Yum. Do you know what I love about this homemade plum sauce is you can really taste the plums, you can really taste those spices. Now one final adjustment you might need to make, and I actually have some potato starch here dissolved in some water ready to go, but depending on how juicy your plums are, you might need to thicken the sauce a little, but I'm looking at this and it's a very thick consistency, so I'm not going to add any. But if you feel like it's a little too thin or runny for your liking, just add a little bit of potato starch or corn flour that's been mixed with some water. Okay, and just a couple of more minutes to let that salt really do its work in there, simmering away, and we are done. Ready to pour these out into jars. Hey guys, if you want to know whenever I'm releasing something new and delicious, then you should hit that subscribe button and the little bell so that I can let you know every time something new is coming out. Thanks. Thanks, see you.